Hi there, for those who don't know me, I'm Mr. T. There's a proverb that says, only the dreamers are awake, the rest are sleeping. So if we are not happy with our life, then it's vital that we remember that we do have the control to change our life to something much better simply by making courageous decisions and working towards achieving our goals. In case you've been dreaming of relocating to somewhere in the tropics, then it's definitely possible for you as well, as it's been done for years by folks who decided they had enough of the ever-increasing pressures of living in highly regulated countries. And usually it's just a matter of taking the first steps towards it. As I currently happen to be filming in Dominican Republic, I'll use this primarily as the comparison to the country you might be thinking of relocating from. And here, like most tropical places, you'll find a wide array of splendors and beauties with their crystal clear oceans, beautiful beaches and scenic locations. However, be aware that both the tropical countries and highly regulated countries have various pros and cons to them. And this is what's important to analyze first before deciding whether to make the move, and also where in the tropics if you are determined to change your country.
Now, before we get too heavily into the specific topics of this video, I just want to run a couple of proverbs by you. The first one is, ships are safe in harbour, but that's not what they were built for. And that's a tropical bird racing over my head there. What do I mean by that? I mean that we can stay in our town or our city and get stuck there for life. But if you look at your town or city from a satellite, it's just this little dot on the global map. And there's all this other territory out there to be discovered. Why get yourself stuck? The other proverb I like is, life is short even at its longest. In other words, we have to appreciate every minute, every hour, every day. And the choices we make are very important to whether we do or don't achieve our goals and reach our dreams in life. Now, when you get to the tropics, there's challenges. It's not always roses and chocolate, because there's also governments in these different countries, like in more regulated countries. And what do governments like to do? Control, restrict, spy, tax you, fine you, jail you, and the list goes on. And they spend trillions of dollars on getting more and more control of all of us with military, police and equipment, cameras, surveillance, the list goes on. However, because in the tropics they seem to be a little bit more focused on the instant things, what they can get out of people or companies today, then they don't spend a lot of effort or time trying to implement law enforcement that requires a lot of time and effort and energy and follow through. So therefore, there's some loopholes in there where you can get a lot more freedom than you would in some other countries. And therefore, you can pretty much do what you want, when you want, how you want, as long as you respect other people.
Let's first get stuck into comparing what exactly can be different between the tropical countries and the colder and often more modern countries. With the first topic being the weather. If you like waking up to nice and sunny weather, well then the good news is that in most known tropical countries, you probably will wake up to it most of the year, only interrupted by the rainy season and the hurricane season, during which you could of course shoot back to your home country and visit your loved ones. In general, the terminology used to describe those who fly away to escape their country's winter weather are called snowbirds. And there's a good reason why, as who likes feeling temperatures as low as minus 10 to 50 degrees Celsius, when you could be enjoying cool drinks instead in a sunny country.
Now, one thing I just wanted to throw in, we are talking about pros and cons of where to live and where to enjoy your life. Well, feeling freer to start with, you can start that right where you are. Disconnect from people or entities who don't mean you well. And that may even mean your country. If you can live somewhere else where they don't hang themselves in petty little rules and regulations, then you will be happier, you will be less stressed, and that's called living compared to maybe existing.
And next up, we're going to hear from a very sharp gentleman who changed his life from living in a highly regulated society to instead enjoying living in tropical paradises.
Hi Tim, thanks for being on video again.
No problem, I love
Tim,
it.
you're one of those individuals that sort of woke up to what's happening in the typical matrix of the modern world and decided to live a different kind of life. What kind of rut is it that you would say people get themselves into in these highly regulated modern countries?
I would say that the biggest thing that I've noticed in society is that people are stuck between living the life of their dreams and living the life that they've been indoctrinated into. And indoctrination is confusion and frustration. And you can't use your energy based on another man's philosophy. You have to separate yourself from saying, hey, I'm tired of this, I'm not getting what I want out of life. You know, we often experience a society that feeds us poisonous food, and we get cancer and all kinds of diseases, and we don't understand why. And then they give us medicines, they say that this is supposed to cure this cancer. And this medicine actually is cancer causing. And it's really poison to your organs. And this is something that's in the Western society, and everybody follows the Western society. And we sometimes call it the red pill and the blue pill, the matrix system. And you have to get yourself away from a system that just seeks to entertain and distract your mind from what you truly want in life. And it's little places like the Dominican Republic or just the islands of the world that helps you to detox your brain and get yourself together. And not only detox your brain, but your body. It starts with the fuel, the body, and then the mind.
What can you say about materialistic hunting?
Yeah.
You know, everybody seems to be striving to have a fancy car, fancy house, and be better than the Joneses.
Well, and my answer to that is that from the time that I was born, I was told by my mom and dad, my coaches, my pastors, all of my family to get this career, get the big house, get the car that you want, and success was something monetary. But you know, I ended up with 8 houses, 7 cars. But inside of me, I felt like I was in a battle with Mike Tyson, and he was in my heart. And I never got the opportunity to experience life and love because everything was based on things. So all the people that interacted with me and my energy poured in people that just wanted to take advantage of me. And people just wanted things. And I realized that I wasn't that type of guy, that success was more about being kind and having a loving heart. And I couldn't experience that in the Matrix, and I didn't quite know what to do. And it was me coming to a place like this, changing my life, that helped me go through the steps to get to where I am today. And that's knowing that life is we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And you can't ever reach happiness and total fulfillment and love in your heart when your mind is focused on things. And the Matrix, that's what it does. It says you're not important unless you have things. But
and why do they do that to people?
Well, because it's addictive. You see, the Matrix says...
When you say the Matrix, you mean governments?
Yeah, when I say the Matrix, I mean the elites that run the world. Mm-hmm. They own the governments, they own the banks. Mm-hmm. And these elite people tell you this is what's important, and they market it. And this marketing is to brainwash you, to make you think I'm not important unless I have these things. You know, from entertainment to so many other different things. And this stuff, it's addictive. But it has nothing to do with your passion and your love for life. It has everything to do with entertaining them and money. And money is extremely important. But doing what you love is what brings that love into your heart. You see, they say get a job. But most people, they don't really like their jobs. You know, I never liked my job. Because it was based on money and people controlling and manipulating my life. But it wasn't until I learned how to become financially independent that I learned to control my world. And now my life is not based on money and things. It's based on just being free and independent and separated from man's world.
The governments who control the schools and the education, they don't really want people to be free thinkers and strive to be independent.
Right.
do they?
No, and the reason being it goes against their agenda. And the agenda is simple. It's about control and manipulation. And anyone that goes outside of that control and manipulation will always be dealt with. And that's why they have all the rules and the laws to put you back in place under their control and their manipulation. But it's a system. And you can either adopt a system of dependency or you can adopt a system that you create of independence. And that takes a skilled person because we only know how to be dependent because we've been indoctrinated into that. And these destroy relationship structure and family structure. That's why women take half your things. You know, you give a human being, just genetically how we built, power over another human being, they're going to use it eventually when they're mad. Because we're not taught about emotional and social intelligence. We're taught about rules and laws, and when we get angry, we can do what we want. It's okay. And this is the life that people live. And when you give a woman power over top of a man by rules and laws created by this Western culture, always it's going to be conflict between the two, and it's going to break up the relationship structure on all levels. You know, so.
And things like they're starting to make homeschooling illegal. That's again, they want everybody to be ownership by the state, the children.
Once again, the educational system is about indoctrinating you into memorizing things. They don't allow you to be creative and develop to the person you dream to become. They tell you, do this and do that, take this class and that class, and become a doctor, a lawyer, an attorney. But what you understand that in this day and time, only 5% of the world population is able to be abundant. And when I say that, 5% of the jobs in the United States pay $150,000 or more. That means 95% of the American population are living under what's so-called abundance. So you got 95% of people that are frustrated and fighting in this pyramid-type life where they saying they want what the top 5% have, and they can never get it because the job is not there. So you have good people working several jobs, and then when you ask them what their dreams are, how can they have a dream when they're working 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet? And that's what America is about. So you have to see what the world is doing and learn from it and allow it to do that, but structure your life around people that have success, financial success, and create your own income. It's really easy if you put all your energy into it. But if your energy is based on entertainment and things that don't help you live the life you want to live, you'll never reach that. Because it's about energy. You know, the whole universe is here and everything is energy, your energy. Your heart is beating, you're breathing, you can see, you can hear, all that's energy. And these are the gifts and the tools that we use and that we should worship. But we're taught that we should worship things. You see the thing, you know, and we love things, but we don't love the life that we have. These are tools, this conscious mind that can help us master and control everything within our sight. And we don't know how to use or worship these gifts. And it's true gratitude. And it's just a certain attitude you have towards your challenges. It's simple. You wake up and you don't like Trump, the president. Okay, Trump is the president. He's doing his thing. And you know what? You don't even have to vote. You don't even have to go that route. What about doing what you want to do for your life? What about using your energy for you and yours?
Great comments, Tim. Thank you so much for being on video.
It's all about common sense. I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay. All the best.
You have a good day.
You too. Now I'll continue mentioning a number of things which I like and dislike about living in the tropics compared to your colder and more modern regulated societies. Because not everything's rosy in the tropics, but many things are. What I really like about most tropical places, apart from the great weather, temperatures, sandy beaches and water activities, is that because people are not stressing out over trying to comply with hundreds of government-invented rules and laws and paying fines based on these, then in most cases the people in the tropics are by nature very relaxed, much friendlier, keen to help and often more generous even when they don't know you that well. Even the poorest people you might encounter in the tropics will usually offer you the last of their food or drinks in their fridge to make you feel welcome. And whether you have strange hair, you're bald just like me, or if you wear old clothes, or you're covered in tattoos or wear piercings, they usually just accept you for who you are. As to them, respect and kindness and maybe a donation is far more important than what you look like. And if you ever have a breakdown with a car or motorbike, then they're very quick to offer their help to fix things or assist you to the nearest gas station or mechanic. Yeah, they may ask for a tip, but hey, it's worth a few pennies to get helped out of an awkward situation. In the tropics, they always seem ready to party as well, and they're very open to involving friendly strangers, especially if you can add a bottle of something to the table. Their family bonds are in general much stronger than what we experience in colder countries, and if there's some kind of problem, then they know how to step forward and support each other. In general, physical commotion is not tolerated in their societies, and both men and women are very confident in stepping forward to bring the bully to justice. Children in the tropics are usually very confident and extroverted, and they'll quickly approach foreign children to play with them. Because many have grown up from very humble beginnings, they've naturally learned to see the glass half full and don't get bogged down feeling sorry for themselves, or get depressed or getting dependent on various pills or drugs. You could call them rejection specialists, I suppose. Also, you see very few alcoholics or drug addicts in their societies, as they yet haven't been destroyed by the nanny-state government structures seen in many other countries. In other words, very little learnt helplessness. Probably my two top reasons for liking the tropics are, number one, you meet a lot of like-minded people here and very quickly develop many friends who share similar life values. And secondly, the freedoms that you can have from not having governments invading your money, your speech, your movement based on their lame security excuses, and the invasion of your privacy and your property and fining you for ridiculous things. And the food companies mess with the food they sell to you, and the medicines, and they rob your pensions and eventually your estate, and much more. All in all, more freedom means sanity, and sanity means better health and wealth and a longer and more meaningful life. That's just my take on it. Okay, just so no one gets their rosy-colored glasses out, then I better mention a bit about the pitfalls of the tropics as well. Each nation and culture in the tropics, whether it's Africa, Central or South America, Asia or more, across the board, some have more integrity in their societies than others. It can also vary a lot within the countries themselves. Like in Dominican Republic, some towns and cities have self-sustaining economies with more responsible people, where in other towns they heavily depend on tourism, consequently attracting more scammers to these areas. In general, being a foreigner myself, any dislikes I have about, say, Dominican Republic would heavily relate to any injustice done against innocent foreigners, as where you hope or think you might have equal rights, soon here one learns that that's not the case at all. Such injustice kicks in so many different situations, from accidents, theft, burglaries, rentals, dealing with real estate, employment blackmail, lawyers, courts, separations, dating, disputes between people, police corruption and blackmails, and more. However, to learn the specifics of these, please take a look at my channel, Educated Traveler, where you'll find useful specifics in the videos numbered 1, 2, 5, 15 and 16. The main frustrations and setbacks that you could end up experiencing would usually relate to any of the locals, including the bad expats, who are into lying, cheating, stealing, revenge, or letting you down. As mentioned in a previous video about scams, to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
Hi guys, Tony here from Canada. Just wanted to talk a bit about today the differences between living in a society, Canada, US, as opposed to living abroad, living in the tropics, paradise type atmospheres. In this world, in corrupt lifestyles that we're living in the matrix and the way the government is designing things for us, people are tied down. They're tied down with debt, they're tied down with stress, and a lot of times they want to escape that and they want to get away. And so typically we tend to go to the tropics, which is a third world, poor countries in most part. A lot of them are booming because a lot of people now are trying to live and move and live abroad. realizing that, you know what, it's cheaper. And they can do it. They can get away with it and have a really nice lifestyle by doing so. And many people are doing it. Now, you know, we have choices, and sometimes it's unfortunate. We get so caught up in the matrix with debt, relationships, drugs and alcohol, or what have you, in any types of addictions. You know, I've gone away to certain places in the tropics, and you know what, I rarely seen anybody hammered or fighting or drugs on the street or anything like that. So, you know, you're going to these places to relax and be calm. Why wouldn't you choose to live there? You know, we're so caught up in this world and in government control entities, the food that they're feeding us. You know, when we can go to the tropics and eat fresh fruit and vegetables and water that's, you know, not government controlled. I mean, you know, milk and all these things that we eat, that we consume. I mean, gradually the government is, you know, let's face it, we can't trust it. You know, so here we can't, in the civilized world, we can't really remove ourselves from those types of, you know, the government. They're always there. Every day we wake up, we're working for the government. You know, we're paying those taxes even when we're sleeping. You know, we're getting up, we're using things in the house or whatever. There's a percentage. There's taxes on everything that we do. You know, I mean, a kid can't even have a lemonade stand at the corner of the street without, you know, paying taxes or having a business license nowadays. You know, so living abroad, Tropics, for example, is wonderful, and we go there. We always find happiness and peace, and because that's the way it is. It's not government regulated. You know, they don't have control, and you can control your life more in these surroundings. You can pick and choose who you want to be with, and who you want to hang out with, or where you want to be, and what you want to get involved in. You know, we're here. We kind of got a set standard of how it's going to be, and these are the taxes you're going to pay after every year, or blah 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 blah. You know, so there has to be a shift, and you've got to make a decision on, you know, do I want to stay with this? Is this really happiness for me? Is this the life that I want to lead? Or should I try to explore and go, you know, live abroad or expand into a different atmosphere of happiness? Isn't that what it's all about? Mr. T's got great videos, educated traveler, on all kinds of things for traveling abroad and in the tropics specifically, and also he does consultation if you're thinking about moving to the tropics and trying to do it, make it a different lifestyle for you and your family. So, all right, cheers, and thanks so much for listening.
The next gentleman gives us his scoop on why most foreigners loosen up and relax a lot more when they get away from modern regulated societies.
Well, let's say whether they're on vacation or whether they live here, I think there's just a lot of worries can just be put to the side. When I used to come down here just for vacation, I would say a lot of the things that I was concerned about back in the United States was not a concern of mine. When I got down here, I didn't have to worry about working a job. I didn't have to worry about punching a clock, wearing a uniform, following rules and regulations and things of that nature. So when I came down here, I found a lot of like-minded people who were able to just sit back and enjoy and not even really worry about. In fact, when we sat down and talked, we didn't really even talk about work for the most part. We just talked about enjoying ourselves down here. And so now that I live down here, I do some of the same things I did back in the United States, such as washing clothes, washing your car, going to the grocery store. But now I don't punch a clock, and most of the guys that come down here are very friendly, easy to talk to, stuff like that, whether they live here or whether they come on vacation. And
so what is it in these modern societies that make people tighten up and become introverted or more shy of reaching out to the neighbor and saying hello and all that?
I think a lot of people are subconsciously under stress and just don't know it by whatever kind of rules and regulations that they have to follow, perhaps. For instance, there's a lot of things, say in the United States, and I can't really speak for the rest of the world, but in the United States, I would say that coming from a male perspective, I would say that a lot of things that men have to deal with is very stressful, trying to be a man and represent manhood in the United States. There's an awful lot of pressure for a man to try to I guess, fit in and be accepted as a man. There's so many things, especially in the dating field, when it comes to work and things like that. And I think when you get away from that sort of thing, whether you, especially you live in a Caribbean environment, I think that you don't have, there's no stress like that. There's that pressure that a man has to live up to is just kind of vanishes. You don't have to worry about that. So I think basically, whether it's man or woman, I guess, it's just a matter of what you're under, the type of pressure and stress that you're under when you live in a society that has a lot of regulations and things like that. Some of the things that you're affected by and some things that you're not. Like I said, there are regulations and things of that nature in the States that I think people are subject to that make it harder for them to be able to be themselves.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being on video. All the best down here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. T.
Take care.
All right.
Next up, we're going to hear from a traveler who's been to over 100 countries during the years, and he's going to recommend some of the best places in the tropics to either settle or travel to.
With me here I have Andy Graham from the channel Hobo Traveler. Found in YouTube and as well in on the internet, hobotraveler.com, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Graham, for being on video. Could you please share with the viewers some of the locations that they could either travel to or even go and live if they wanted something a little bit more relaxed?
Well, I've been to 107 countries, and because I've been to 107 countries, it's a comparison of all the countries. So relaxed to me usually means the size of the city. So if you got Central and South America, anything under 50,000 people, some city you can walk across usually means relaxed. If you want hectic, you go to the big city. The bigger the city, the more the chaos. The smaller the city, the more manageable it is. But you have two types of travelers in the planet. Basically, you got your coastline, want to live on the coast, go to the beach type traveler. Then you got the I want to go up higher. Like I'm often promoting the 11 or 12 places on the planet that have perfect climates. So then you got these different things. But there's a lot of relaxed places. But usually the reason why I'm relaxed always is because it's me I take with me. And if I take me, a relaxed person with me, and not my anger and rants and angers about why I'm mad at some country or whatever, I will attract calm people. But safety is always an issue, and all the Latino world is one of the more dangerous cultures on the planet. So there's a lot of theft, petty theft from Mexico to Chile and all the Caribbean. Europe's pretty much a theft, pickpocket type place. India, Asia, but the similar places, there's lots of relaxed places like Cuenca, Ecuador, Lago Atitlán, Guatemala, Goa, Palawan Beach, Goa, probably Boracay, Philippines. But then you have like Baguio, which is at 1,500 feet in the Philippines. It's, perfect climate, but it rains a lot. While Lake Atitlán's 1,500 feet. But then you get up to La Paz, where it's colder and it's a big city. But generally, relaxed is you take a relaxed person with you, you'll be in a relaxed place. But the bigger the city, the bigger the problems.
Right. So some of the places closer to America, let's say Mexico, some people, they stereotype a whole country based on some nasty things they've heard, but then there could be portions of that country that's actually very calm and safe. So if we take Panama, Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, can you mention a little bit about those places?
Okay, in Mexico, you got Puerto Escondido that's calm. You got Playa del Carmen, which is just south of they're growing metropolis. I mean, the tourism grows, okay? So it's moving down the coast towards Tulum. They have gated communities. I mean, if you're in it for the long term, you can always get in a gated community. Mexico, though, I like Oaxaca and Puerto Escondido, but what's that place? Chapala, which is at about 1,500 meters, is one of the perfect climates. And then in Costa Rica, Anahuela is at about 1,300 meters high, so it's got a really nice, cool environment, but it's just off the airport, the San Jose airport. But it's got megalopolis problem. The cities like New York, it just keeps growing. Cuenca, any way you do it, Cuenca is a great place to start. When when you're making a choice, though, to go find a calm place, what you got to do is find one place, and then when you're there, people of like kind, like you, will tell you where to go. So you don't have to plan your life. You should serendipitously learn these things. But the problem is to find somebody of like kind. I have a hobo traveler talk wall where the travelers sit there and talk, and then they follow somebody they like, and that follower, those together, they create a synergy where they actually tell each other where to go. And that's the goal of a network, is that you try to find two people that are similar, somehow let them follow each other, and the two of them sort of discuss the pros and cons. Well, I think the biggest mistake people make is they go for a 2-week vacation and think they got their rose-colored glasses on. They haven't even been there long enough to know they hate the place. After you've been to a place and you really start bitching about the place, that's when you actually can learn to love the place. If you have everything's great, everything's wonderful, you have your rose-colored glasses on. So I recommend people go on at least a 30-day trip if they're thinking about being a perpetual traveler or living abroad or being an expat. And never buy anything. Never rent a house longer than a month. Never rent anything longer than a month. Be real careful with Airbnb, because they can put you out in the middle of nowhere, and you won't be close to the center core. Any place you go, you're looking for the center of the expat universe or the center of the backpacker universe. Like I just came from a coffee group this morning, and I call that the center of the Americanized coffee clutch. It's where the center of knowledge is. But you look for these things, and then you work your way out serendipitously. But to actually plan where you're going to travel in a foreign country, you're not a foreigner. You don't know where you're at. So I'm guaranteed that I don't know where I'm at. I never know where I'm at, and that's the problem. If you're comfortable, you're not traveling. I got the Hobo Traveler channel on YouTube, and then I got the hobotraveler.com website. We have around 20,000 members, and people get on there, and we have a talk wall, something like Facebook, where people share their common experiences.
Fantastic. So check it out, guys. Have a great day.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.
Next up, we're going to talk to a fairly new expat of Greek descent who used to live in UK for many years. Here's Frankie.
And what made you move to DR?
Well, it was the weather. English weather. It's always raining, it's always cold. Everything is the same, so...
And are you happy about the move?
Yes and no. It's got ups and downs to it, but...
So what's the upsides and the downsides?
The upside is don't ever get in love, okay? Because you get hustled all the time. But this time I'm gonna hustle now. That's it.
And the downsides to living here?
Downside is some people is the money running out because they just con you.
And how do you find it surviving here?
It's not that easy, and it's not that difficult if you know what to do. You have to be here and study for a year to get more knowledge and information from people. And that's it, basically.
What's the best sides of being here, as far as you're concerned?
The best side is the weather and is the sea, and it's a paradise. Well, paradise can be deceiving sometimes. It's difficult. If you want to work here, it's very, very difficult.
Thank you for being on video. I appreciate your comments.
You're welcome.
The next interview is with an Italian-Canadian gentleman who you might have seen in previous documentaries, who absolutely loves the tropics.
What is it that's more attractive here, would you say, than say back in Canada?
I don't know. I really truly don't know. The friendliness. Well, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
The food is not as good as ours. I mean, let's face it. But like I said, a lot of good people. Freedom in this country. There's a lot of freedom here. It's not like example Cuba. Oh dear, no. There's no freedom down there. But here, people enjoy themselves. They get to say whatever they want. They get to do whatever they want.
Thank you very much for being on video.
Likewise, thank you.
Just before the last interview, and to mix a little bit of action in here, I'm going to take you to a true tropical motocross event held in the middle of a coastal palm tree area. Here we go.
Pasar en esta primera manga categoría local. ¡Vuelta! Categoría local. ¡Última vuelta! Vamos a ver qué dice. Estamos grabando la última vuelta para evitar inconvenientes. Gracias, muchísimas gracias a la gente de Amber también que están patrocinando.
And finally, we're going to hear from a new entrepreneur who, together with his family, made a very brave move, shifting down here to DR to improve their life.
And with me here I have Henry Aguirre. Thank you very much for being on video, Henry.
Hey, you're welcome.
So you run this magic crystal clear kayaks in Sosua, or you're just setting up the shop. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm very curious to know what made you have a wife and children, what made you guys decide to pull up roots in US and come down here?
In short, quality of life. We decided that we would come over here on sabbatical temporarily to get some rest from the rat race in the United States. We felt that living in the United States had become more of a hassle and a struggle than it was a pleasure.
And what sort of things is it that caused it to be a struggle or a hassle? The society in general, the pressures,
Well, it wasn't just
economy?
society. It wasn't just society. There were a lot of things that went along with it. It was the idea that you were competing with yourself to have a quality life. The fact that you have to work day in and day out to build a home, a business, or a lifestyle, but yet slowly find your health and the quality of your personal life deteriorating, including your relationships. In coming over here, we found so much freedom and a better quality of life, and the fact that we have better food, cleaner air, more laid-back, stress-free type of life.
When you were in US, did you feel that, because I remember that from different countries, they managed to kind of keep you poor by, okay, you get a fine for this, and now there's a new law for that. So if you break all these laws, okay, you got to pay the fines. You got to find the money somewhere, which means you got to work, you got to push yourself, and then you snap at your children, and the list goes on.
Yeah, so one of the things that my wife and I had discussed early on is we wanted to buy a home, but we thought after some time, why buy a home and spend your life working to build that home while your family falls apart because you're constantly at work, thus never having a family to actually put in that home. You never truly own your home after a 30-year mortgage because you have property taxes. You come over here and the idea of owning a home is a lot simpler than that. You don't have to struggle as hard. There's not property taxes for the rest of your life. And what are you really doing? You're setting yourself free from a 30-year bondage, a 30-year mortgage. You can come over here, start a business without those tough and strict regulations that you have back in the States. You can have a life that is easier, simpler, not as complex. You're not competing with the Joneses. You're not trying to keep up with everybody around you. There's no need for you to prove yourself. Everybody over here accepts you for who you are.
You told me yesterday that you had to sell up a lot of stuff and give a lot of stuff away. You had like 6 container loads, was it, of stuff you could have filled 6 containers.
For the 15 years or more my wife and I have been married, we had accumulated so many things we didn't need that we actually had to have yard sales and garage sales just to get rid of everything we had accumulated. And it wasn't junk, it wasn't garbage, it's really good stuff. We realized we don't need all this stuff to live. We just really needed each other. We needed a family and we needed better quality of life.
And how's the children liking it?
They love it. They love it here. It's great for them. They haven't complained one bit. They enjoy the fact that we have beautiful surroundings, beautiful scenery. We have a different culture that we're adjusting to. Great food, great attitudes, and everybody loves each other here. There's no problems here. There isn't a crime problem here. There isn't a gun problem here. There isn't problems with drugs and trafficking over here. Everybody accepts each other. Everybody lives in peace over here with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, like anyway, you got to stay out of those elements are here, but it's probably less in your face. You hardly see it here, so if you just make a conscious choice, I don't want to be involved in crime or drugs or anything, you can easily stay out of it, correct?
That's a given. Crime obviously, has its consequences, and those things will definitely take you down the wrong path. We don't want to do those things, and that's not a hard decision to make. It's just common sense. But over here, yeah, it's not in your face. Okay. Over here, it's not as prevalent as it is outside of the Caribbean islands, such as in the United States or in Europe. Yeah, I understand people want to do what they want to do, and they're going to continue to do what they want to do. But over here, that's not really an issue.
Sure. And final question, people may be curious to what's in the background here. Can you show us one of the kayaks there?
Sure. Okay.
So how did you get the idea of crystal clear kayaks? Is that something you've seen overseas?
Yeah, it was actually. We were kind of thinking about a business idea before we'd come over, and we couldn't really decide on something. We thought maybe we would do a restaurant or open up another store, souvenir shop, maybe stick with a consulting business. But we thought, why do we want to continue down the same path we had been before? I had done several businesses in the past that kind of came and went, and I was working with a petroleum company, which gave me a pretty good income. I thought, this is not what I want to live for. I'm not living my dream. I'm not living my passions. I'm not being everything that I wanted to be. And coming up with this, it's kind of something that fell into our lap. So we ran with it. We did our research, and we found out nobody here has us on the island. And we thought, well, great. If there's something we can provide for families to enjoy, an opportunity to have time together, an activity in which they can remember, they'll come out and do it again and have more families come out.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much for your comments, and I wish you all the best with your business and your life here.
Appreciate that.
Cheers. Bye. Okay, folks, that almost wraps things up for this documentary, and I hope you got a lot of good information from the people that I interviewed. And don't forget, if you're out there traveling, check with the expats what it's really like. Like here in Dominican Republic, there's many wonderful things, but if something goes wrong, it really goes wrong for you, because there's no justice here. So you may just want to check out all the different countries that are out there before you make your final decision. Also, I run a relocation advisory service, so if you are relocating and you want advice how to get to the tropics and some of the pitfalls and how to do it, just jot me an email to info@educatedtraveler.info. Okay, I wish you all the best. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.